And now, here's the host, the publisher of the award-winning Florida Star, Clara McLaughlin.
And hello, this is Opio. I am sitting in for Clara McLaughlin. We have the cameras rolling because of 18.2, channel 18.2 is Star TV, Star Media, in cooperation with EWC and AMG, Satellite. And so, for those who don't know, Clara McLaughlin is not only the owner of the Florida Star, but also now she is a principal and the owner of 18.2. If you don't have cable TV, this is the easiest way to talk about it. If you don't have cable TV, and you know how you used to hook the antenna into the television, well, the same port that you hook your cable into, you buy one of those antennas for 10, 40, 50. It's best to buy the nice high power antennas because it's a low power TV station. But it's one of the 30 digital channels that you receive in Jacksonville. There are a lot of people who don't have cable. And so they go to Walmart, one of these, Best Buy, one of these stores, they buy one of these antennas, they put it on their television, and they're able to get about 30 channels. And that includes some of the regular channels that you always used to growing up, and some of the newer channels. And we are one of those newer channels, 18.2. We are right after Bounce TV on the dial. Of course, there's also Univision that's very new, as new as us. They're next to us as well. So tune in, check everything out. You will be seeing this program right here. When we do Impact, we want to be able to get those hundreds of thousands of viewers and for them to be able to see what we are talking about here on WCGL. All right, and I got a great show lined up. Like I said, we got the cameras rolling, so we're able to see, you're able to see who I have here, but to the people in radio land, as they said when I was growing up, we have none other than the person that everybody's talking about right now in Jacksonville, particularly on the issue, a couple issues, some of the issues that are controversial, some are very important to the electorate, some are really important as the way it relates to criminal justice. We have none other than Pastor Gundy. How you doing, Pastor?
Good evening, Brother Opio, and well, thank you for allowing me to come and meet with you tonight. Certainly appreciate this opportunity to share.
I was happy when you told me you was able to do it because I know how busy you are, and I know with some of the things that you're doing, it just pulls you in so many different directions. And then you pastor a church.
Yeah, absolutely. Only by the power of God I'm able to do what I do. Without Him, none of this would be possible. So I thank Him for the strength to do it, and a wife who allows me to do it.
How long have you been knowing your wife?
We've been married 33 years.
33? When did you first meet her?
I met Marlette when I was in third grade.
Third grade? Oh my goodness.
So she's been in my heart ever since.
Okay, so when was it that you say, man, this is the woman? So it started out as friends, you're young, you're friends. As an adult, when did you say, this is the woman
I was 28. I was 28 years old, and we found each other again. We got married. It's been good ever since.
Right.
Yeah.
Your wife is incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, an incredible personality. She's disarming.
Yes.
And have to be, for a guy like you that don't mind running into battle, you're going to have people that's going to say, he rubs me the wrong way. And when they see you out with the wife is, hello, how are you doing?
Yes.
And totally disarm everybody. Right.
It's definitely balanced. I promise you that.
Right. Wonderful woman.
If
you have not met Pastor Gundy's wife, the First Lady, she's just an incredible person, just the nicest person you ever want to meet. And I'm not just saying that because Pastor Gundy is here. But Pastor, okay, so I want to talk to you about 3 issues. One is the LGBT. The other is police brutality. And another one is the state's attorney's race.
Okay.
How do you want to start off? Any which way you want to do it.
Well, I think right now all of them are pressing issues, so why don't we begin with the LGBT issue? I happened to talk to former president of the National COC, Dr. C.T. Vivian. Dr. C.T. Vivian in conference with him and sharing with me, he was saying, Pastor Gundy, you're absolutely doing the right thing as it relates to the LGBT. That was encouraging. But in addition to that, the real battle, the real struggle with this issue in Jacksonville, the LGBT community, reminds me of a fact that Dr. Shuttleworth walked out of my house and said to me once that Pastor Gundy, Jacksonville was the last Birmingham of the South. If you can help break that mold and help do those things to turn things around, you'll help turn this country around. And we must have equality for everybody.
Right.
And the struggle that I'm having right now in Jacksonville is not with the government. The struggle that I'm having right now is the clergy, whether it be the evangelical right, conservative right, or whether it be the evangelical black clergy. They have to understand that they're promoting or poverty, and they're promoting discrimination, and they're not even aware of it. There's a strange dichotomy between you saying that I'm a Christian on one hand, and then on the other hand, you are saying that you don't want people to have their civil rights. Even though there's a little difference in the struggle for civil rights, is civil rights no matter who you get it from. So that becomes a strange dichotomy for me. I was as part of that, so I see the problem in Jacksonville is not a government problem, it's a church problem. Because whatever the clergy supports, whatever the clergy push for, it would change the dynamics of a community. I heard someone talking about a referendum or something like that in reference to the LGBT community. Well, if you're going to have a referendum for the LGBT community, why haven't we been talking about a referendum to stop police brutality and put cameras on police officers? If we're going to have a referendum, I find it strange that we haven't had a referendum for a citizen review board in this community. We pick and choose our battles based on what we believe in. I have a hard time believing that the church doesn't understand that we have problems across the community, and so if we're going to vote on one issue, we should vote on all. I don't think it's necessary to vote. I think the mayor should be the leader of the city, and the city council should be the leader of the city, and they should pass a human rights ordinance that's going to be inclusive of everybody, that's going to be diversified for everybody, and then we continue to move on to our next issue. So I'm hoping that by speaking up and speaking out against this issue, that they'll recognize that it's time for Jacksonville to step up to the next level in this community.
Well, what about those pastors who are going to say, well, you know, we don't mind, and I think a lot of people might be here at this point, we don't mind people or gay people getting certain types of rights. There's just some things that I'm just not going to believe and support as a God-fearing, strong Christian person. Because the Bible is real clear that this is an abomination. People don't even want to say that anymore. How do you deal with those people?
Well, here was in the past it was popular Christian practice to bar blacks, for instance, from going into mainline churches. Let's just say that. And then ironically, I give you a metaphor here. Bull Connors back in Birmingham, because I told you about Birmingham, he had a very interesting name. His name was Theophilus. And then that was a biblical name. And then Christianity is brand who we are. We're red letter Christians. And for the Christian to say that they carry this name and not practice the moral imperative of love, it is a form of hypocrisy. So if you're going to stand in the pulpit and you're going to preach love and love thy neighbor, we're not asking anyone to change their biblical beliefs. I tend to believe that once the bill is produced and introduced, I'm not the one to introduce that bill, but I think that there's protection in the bill for the church, and they need to wait and see what that is. I think there's protection there for the nonprofits and other organizations as well. So they need to do that. So stand on the word of God. I do not believe in same-sex marriage. I do not believe in homosexuality, but I also don't believe in adultery. I don't believe in fornication. I don't believe in killing. The sin is just sin. So now you're going to classify one sin above another. And if they try and use the word abomination, they need to go study the Hebrew context of that and really understand what that means. So I think for the community has to lie on the imperative, the principles and the precepts of the word love. I do not believe Jesus would discriminate against anybody. He certainly discriminated against the Samaritans on the road. He certainly did. So we cannot get around the word that says, it is my prayer, Father, that they all become one as you and I are one. And the word all is inclusive of everybody. And the other problem that people are wrestling with and don't understand, that many people are born this way. Some people choose to do some things as it relates to LGBT, but some are born that way. I mean, some people are born, we're on a radio audience, let's be honest, that some people are born with two sex organs. And then what do? You don't serve them, you don't pray for them, you don't bless them, you don't try and minister to them. And so if I fail to try and minister to everybody, that's the problem that the young people are having with the church today. That's the problem with other people in the community, young adults having with the church today. They won't come to the church because they see the church saying one thing and then they see the church doing another.
Well, but then at the same time, there are going to be people say, well, you just said you don't believe in gay marriage and you don't believe in, that whole thing. Now, the people on the other side who believe that you've just come over to their side, they're like, wait a minute, you don't believe in what we actually believe in. And so then you get into it with them on that issue.
No, it's not a struggle with them. From the very beginning, as I've always worked related with the LGBT community, that was always my stance. It didn't change. But I saw that there was a moral imperative to love people in discrimination of any kind. And I can't be the person that I am, a man of God. I can't be a person of civil rights and not see that rights for all humans. And what Jacksonville has to understand, this is very important because Jacksonville is now on the International Watch Committee for Human Rights. Jacksonville has been identified by the International Human Rights Watch Organization as a community which discriminates against people because of racial bias in the judicial system. I didn't say this. This is written on page 1 of a 149-page document of much research that says this direct filing is discriminatory, and because there's no set way, every state attorney can do any and everything they want to do as far as that's concerned. So if you have discrimination in the judicial system, you have discrimination in society, you're discriminating against LGBT, so where does it stop? So there comes a point in time in your life where you have to say, enough of this is enough. If we're going to live the moral imperative and love one another, love your neighbor, and treat people as you want to be treated, I want to minister to everybody.
What happened at the most churches been like that? Gays have always been in the church.
Always.
But you can't just like anybody, you just can't come into church and do whatever you want to do.
There's always standards in the church, and you have to have guidelines in the church. That has never been an issue that I've seen in the African American church. Now well,
recently you get some gays will stand up and walk out when you get on that topic, which some view as disrespectful because, yeah, they're going to hit you with some abomination talk, but they're going to also hit the people that are doing all these various other sins. And if we had everybody walking out when they felt condemned, then we'd have nobody in the church, or it'll be kind of a seesaw in every church. At every church service, because every church service you're going to talk about some of the wrongs that we do.
Well, the text says, "If your conscience won't condemn you, neither shall I." But you can't preach the gospel and be true to the gospel and don't preach the entire gospel.
Right.
But I've heard people that stand in the pulpit and they bash people in the LGBT community, but I don't hear them bashing the other congregants for what they do. So why is it that you're bashing some, but you're not bashing others? So that very approach and attitude is the same.
When you say bashing, you're saying, yeah, they may talk about these other things, but when they get on the gay topic, it's the real turn up, and they really go after that issue.
Yeah, and you wonder why they're doing that. I can preach the same text, do the same thing, but I'm trying to draw you to God, not push you away from God. I'm trying to draw you to love, not push you away from love. I'm trying to draw you to the church community, not push you away from the church community. And so when you take that approach, even if people wanted to change it, what a lot of people don't understand, people who have same-sex attraction, they wrestle with that addiction like an alcoholic wrestle with his
There are
addiction.
some men that are heterosexual, they like certain types of women that they wrestle with.
Yeah,
I just like big women.
yeah.
I don't know why, I just like big women.
And so they wrestle with that. And what because we like the training, and because churches and many churches have not taken time to train people on this issue of same-sex attraction and the brain and the physiological, they've gotten away from the psychological impact. And because they have not trained the congregations to the real issues, I've been talking to my congregation for over 2 years.
There are some people, they say they've been prayed out of it, and some people say, well, you just can't pray that off of somebody.
Well, the bottom line is, just this Sunday, so I think it was, I say everybody who jacked up in the church like me, raise your hand. Everybody in my church raised their hand. So that everybody has sinned. Everybody got something going on. And when we face that fact, we can work through this other stuff.
But those things you consider bad you got going on, do you say turn them into good because the government say they're good now?
Well, you know what? Every man has to answer for him or herself. Every woman has to answer for him or herself. You can only preach the gospel, and the gospel falls where it falls. And then they have to make the decisions because they make the choice. This is a free will choice. But I've found that when you love, people want to come to church. People want to worship God. People want to give their lives over. The young man that I had in my church, he died. He had a same-sex attraction. He's in heaven. He confessed his sins. He forgave. He was born again. So, I'm trying to figure out where the struggle is at.
Right. Man, it's in a lot of its culture, history, and so on. All right, well, we're going to go to a break. When we come back, we got more Pastor Gundy. This is Opio, and we are here on Impact. Man, I need to get I'm missing my. Oh no, I think I took it out of my bag. Got my digital recorder. That's a good topic right here. All right, well, I think we're just going to keep going off of the camera. Cut it up.
I'm surprised they didn't try to blow your phone up.
Right now, somebody sounded like they called in, but we can get into a point where you have so much less to say if we, let the callers call in. We want to get to a lot of topics. I want to be able to hear you out and everything. Damn, I can't believe I think I have my digital recorders in the car. But we'll be able to capture it with that camera right there. That's a really, really good mic in that camera. Are you recording?
Yeah, he is.
You recording? Good. I can get that audio. See better. Okay, we're going to hit that topic a little bit more. We're going to get off of there, and then we're going to go to, I think we got one more break we got to do. This is Opio, and I am sitting in for Ms. Clara McLaughlin, the owner and editor of the Florida Star newspaper, and this is our radio program, Impact. Also, make sure you tune into 18.2 on your television dial. We are actually filming right now. We have in the studio Pastor Gundy, and we're talking about some great issues right now. We're just dealing with the issue of condemnation, LGBT. Are we now going to see, because I know today we had a group of pastors in Jacksonville, black pastors, finally come out in a group and now are supporting your position and talking about supporting HRO. I just saw that in the media an hour before we got here today. Is there something now that in the conventions all around the country that black pastors in the black church and every other church are going to begin educating each other on how to deal with this issue, how to be able to show love when they're dealing with this issue without compromising who they are as a church? What's going on, and what do you believe is going to go on? What may have to go on now in the black church when they all get together for these conventions once a year in these training sessions with pastors and lay people?
Well, I know that every denomination has their own statement, covenant statement, but our challenge today remains an issue of Christian leadership in Jacksonville and America. Mm-hmm. Charlie Dates put it best when he said, there are moral imperatives for unity, harmony, and diversity, but there appears to be no urgency for Christ's exalted diversity. Mm-hmm. And so through Christ, all things are possible. Right. You can love thy neighbor as you love thyself. This has been an ongoing challenge in many countries, in many states around the country. I'm part of a national organization that is promoting diversity and harmony and peace, but civil and human rights and for everybody. Mm-hmm. And I think Jacksonville wants to do this. I think Jacksonville know they need to do this. Yeah. The question is whether Jacksonville is big enough to do this. Mm-hmm. Whether it be the business community know what needs to happen. Jacksonville is subject to lose a lot of businesses in this city. Well,
I think that's what kind of got Mulaney, what's his name, a former mayor, Delaney. I think that's what got him kind of jumping up and down and talking to different people in power. They see the money part of this whole thing.
Well, it's I use this term. I'm tired of Jacksonville being defined as the last Birmingham of the South. Mm-hmm. I'm tired of seeing vicious political races and the sheriff and mayor's race, the things that they did with former Mayor Brown, the things they did when Nat Glover ran for the first time for mayor. It's just absolutely unnecessary to do that, to play the race cards the way they have been playing them. And then what I really struggle with is when the black clergy does not stand up and speak against the issues collectively as it relates to how these things are happening, but you would come out and raise issues about this LGBT. Mm-hmm. And I think some of it has to do with fear. Some of it has to do with age. Some of it has to do with culture and the way people were raised. Mm-hmm. But times have changed. We don't have to change the gospel, but we have to minister to everybody. Right. That's where I'm at right now. Mm-hmm. You got to learn how to do that.
There are fathers out there who don't know how to talk to their teenage son, who may never come out to that 70. When I think of a father, right. I think of that 70s
grandparents.
And grandparents, right. Even more so.
Right.
I think about that 70s brother.
Yes.
Like my dad, you tell him he's gay, he's going to beat you up.
Right.
That type of thing. Maybe they're not doing that anymore. Maybe that's not happening anymore, but there might be a disappointment or a fear that goes along with the father because that's his son. The son is supposed to be manly, he's supposed to be like, how do he talk to his son?
I don't know any parent, especially a mother, who have a child, don't love their children. Mm-hmm. And what I want them to do is now start to sit down and wrap their arms around their child, understand the physiological issues that are going on with their child, understand the mental issues that are going on with that child, trying to fight through those issues and those struggles, get the counseling. And the first place that they really should get the counseling, they should be able to go to the church. But the problem that you have many clergy who are not trained and don't know how to counsel
They don't
this
possess
issue.
the dialogue to be able to
Right.
deal with that. Right.
And so I have taken over the last 2 years. I even went to a class at First Baptist Church in Jacksonville at the pastor's class.
What?
And I specifically went to the same-sex attraction class. I got the book and read the book because I wanted to understand what this struggle was. How do I talk to people? How do I talk to them? You know, I've had, I've ran across some things in my lifetime, and even recently, as it relates to this issue, that was a very touchy situation. And I got to admit, when it first came to me, I didn't know how to handle it. I said, if you're going to pastor people, you need to get smart. You know, now, and so there are ways to counsel people and ways to help them with the struggle. Some will change, some never will.
Right.
But some womanizers will change,
Mm-hmm.
some never will.
Right.
Some adulterers will change, some never will. Some fornicators will change, some never will. Some drinkers will change, some never will.
Marriage sometimes will change you, but then marriage sometimes doesn't change.
Doesn't change.
In that, right?
And so,
And it creates a problem within the marriage.
So I don't want to create a spirit of divisiveness with pastors. I want to wrap my arms around them. Let's sit down, darling, and let's help train you how to minister to people. Because you can't point your finger at people anymore and say, this is wrong, you're going to die, and you're going to go.
Because it's the law of the land now.
Well, you can
And
paint.
you live in the land.
What I mean by that, when I'm pointing your finger to that and saying to that, they won't accept that. You're pushing me away. You're not trying to understand what I'm really going through, what my struggles really are. And therefore, if you can sit down and talk to someone and understand their struggles, you can help them get through their issues that they're dealing with in this country. I mean, in their lives.
Man, Pastor, we didn't talk about all this other stuff I wanted to talk about. Police brutality, real quick. Give me something.
Yeah, I would tell you that police brutality, we really need cameras on police officers. I would hope that they would talk about a referendum and vote that in this community, because we have the same issues in Jacksonville that they have in Chicago, same issues that they have in Minnesota, in other parts of the country as it relates to shooting, and police officers writing reports and then they don't add up. So we need to have this question.
And where there's smoke, there's fire. Where there's a lot of lies, there's some problems, and we know that there's problems in that area. Okay, and what about the issue of the guy that's running against Angela Corey? And a lot of people say Angela Corey got to go.
Yeah, I mean, I think the moderate Republicans are getting the message. I think that we need to, everybody knows she has now been identified as the worst in the world as it relates to incarcerating kids. I mean, I got the report. It is. It's branded. I sent it to every city
George
council
Zimmerman
last
is
Friday.
walking around right now because of her. George Zimmerman.
So I sent a report to every city councilman this past Friday called Branded for Life. And unfortunately, of all the letters that they pulled Mrs. Corey's letter and put it in the report.
Wow.
As to how she go about, and there's no rhyme or rhyme as to how or why they direct foul kids. There's no system. They get mad at you. They do you different ways. Judges in the Jacksonville, they're in there. Judge Davis is in there. They quoted him. He said there's no pattern with this thing, and that office is out of control.
All right, we'll have that last word. We're going to get out of here. That was Pastor Gundy. This is Opio. We're sitting in for Claire McLaughlin. Pick up the copy of the Florida Star and make sure you tune into 18.2 television. Thank you, and we will see you next time. Peace and love to you. All right. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, man.
Man, the time went by like that.
Yeah.
30 minutes.
Doesn't take long.